But I'm Chef Brandie Winninger here in the St. Louis Roth Living showroom, and we are the SubZero Wolf Cove resource showroom for the appliances. So the showrooms are somewhere where you can pop in and take a look at the appliances on display, and we can help you sort through your different options for your renovation or new build or whatever replacement, whatever you may be doing. And then you would actually purchase from one of our dealers. So that is what we are at Roth Living. And then the team here, in addition to myself, we have Kelly, who is our showroom manager. We have Katie and Jim, who are our showroom consultants. And then we have Paul Harris, who is our territory sales representative. And we've got some bad storms rolling in here. The sky just turned very black and it's thundering. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me, and also we don't lose power. So that's the goal here. So the chef's table experience that I'm going to be going through is demonstrating all of the SubZero Wolf appliances so that you can get a broad overview of exactly what the appliances are and what they do, and kind of tailor it to what's going to fit your lifestyle in the project that you're doing. So again, this is a brief overview of everything. And then once you purchase, we will actually bring you back in, or in this case, we can also do a virtual one-on-one of the appliances that you purchased specifically. And then I will go through all of the modes, how to use them, how to clean them, how to care for them. So we don't just let you purchase and send you off to the wolves and say good luck. So we actually let you come back in and do an ownership demonstration as well. And then we have something called the Convection steam oven, which is an appliance I'm going to briefly talk about today, but because it is capable of so many things, I actually do a separate demonstration on that. So we have a virtual one coming up, and then we also have an in-showroom 2-hour demonstration on the Convection steam oven coming up as well. So if you're interested in joining in on that and learning more about that, then just pop a message up on the Zoom, and then we'll get you signed up for that. So ask questions. Feel free to ask any questions that you want. I will stop kind of after each section and give you time to ask those questions. You can always type them, or I can hear you here, and you can ask me directly. So that's what this is for. It's a learning experience. So we are going to start with the range. So there's a couple different options when it comes to the gas cooking. So we will pop over here, and we here have the 60-inch dual fuel. So Wolf is the cooking specialist. So anytime we're talking about cooking or heat transfer, that's where Wolf is the master in this. And I'm gonna go through and tell you why Wolf is so good when it comes to the cooking and the heat transfer, but also the control of heat as well. So I start here so I can get this hood turned off because it's super high and loud. But what we have here is the 60-inch dual fuel. So dual fuel means you have gas on top and you have electric oven on the bottom. You can also do an all gas range. Wolf does make that. With the electric oven on the bottom, you do have the ability to have all of those different modes like you would in a wall oven that I'm going to talk to you about today. So let's start with the top of it. So here I have my 6 burners, and I have a griddle, and I have a CharBroiler. The beauty of Wolf is that you can kind of configure this how you want. So if you just want a griddle and the gas burners, you can do that. Just want a CharBroiler and the gas burners, you can do that. If you want a griddle but double, so it's a double griddle, you can do that as well. There's also the option of a French top. If you're familiar with that, you can have a French top in the center as well. So right now I have my CharBroiler on and I have my griddle on. So let's talk about the griddle first. The griddle is one piece of cold rolled steel, and it is a temperature control from 100 degrees to 450 degrees. I have mine set to about 300 right now because I'm just cooking my bacon low and slow on here. Now, the beauty of that ownership demonstration when you go to purchase a griddle is that it's going to be nice and beautiful and gray, but we want to get it to this. We want to get it to this dark, non-stick surface. It's called seasoning, just like you would in a cast iron skillet. So I'm going to teach you how to season that to where you can get it to this point so you can cook anything on there without it sticking. So I have bacon on here right now, which is nice and greasy. So the other goal of this is to show you how easy the cleanup can be on these as well. The hardest thing about having a griddle, I had one in my other house, is that I have to remind myself not to pull out a pan to cook with. So you can cook pretty much anything directly on this surface. And with the cold roll steel, that one piece mounted underneath that is a thermometer. And Wolf is, as far as my knowledge, are the only ones that do that. And the goal of that is that temperature control that I was talking about. So that thermometer is mounted up underneath that piece of steel. And then if you're setting, the piece drops 1 degree below where you have it set, you'll hear that little thermometer kind of click on, and that's reigniting so that it will heat back up to the temperature that you have it set. So sometimes when you crowd like a pan or you crowd a surface, it can bring your temperature down. This immediately pops it back up to where you have it set because of that thermometer that's mounted underneath. So my bacon here is just getting nice and crispy. And then I am just going to take this off. This is going to be for our salad. So I'm just going to lay it on the side of my pan here and let it cool. And then when it comes to cleaning on the griddle, I'm going to turn my heat off. You do have the option of this little catch tray, or the option, it comes with a little catch tray here, which is a little grease trap. So anything that's caught there, I can scrape right down in there and dump it. So, and then when you're using your griddle, anything with a straight edge, either a bench knife or a spatula works great. And so I can get there in those corners and get all that grease down into my trap, like so. And then all I do is take that little piece out and dump it into my trash. Sorry. Nope, I'm jumping around. And rinse it. And then all I have to do is take a damp towel, which mine's not damp right this minute, and go through and wipe everything down on my griddle. Make sure it's still a little warm so that any moisture that's on there is going to evaporate off. And then you just go through with a touch of very neutral oil. So either a grapeseed oil or a flaxseed oil or even a canola oil with a little paper towel. Wipe it down, put your stainless top back on, and it's ready to go for the next time. So that is seasoning. So super easy to use and super easy to clean as well. So you can throw a bunch of things on here. I like to do shrimp on here, throw some veggies on here, maybe a little sauce, cook everything right on that surface. So that is the Wolf griddle. The other thing I have here, the wonderful piece of equipment, is the CharBroiler. So it's kind of like having an indoor grill in your home. With the CharBroiler, it is on or it is off. So there's no temperature variance as far as a control dial goes, but it does get up to about 1500 degrees. And there is a piece underneath this grate, this powder-coated grate. There's actually a piece underneath there that you can turn one way or the other to direct your heat. So right now, mine is turned to where my hotter zone is in the front and my cooler zone is in the back. So it's one infrared burner underneath that griddle, but I can actually move that plate around. If I want my hotter zone in the back, I can just flip that plate around. So what I'm gonna do on the CharBroiler is I'm gonna take out my beef tenderloin. I had little pieces of beef tenderloin that I'm going to slow cook in the convection steam oven. I did that at 185 degrees until it reached the internal temperature of 130, which is medium rare. And so it's just nice and slow and low. And then I just let that rest, turn off the convection steam oven and let that rest. And then what I'm gonna do is just sear it off on the CharBroiler. So a great reason to have that CharBroiler is either you can cook fish or chicken or anything directly on there, or if you have a larger cut of meat, you can slow roast it to the internal temperature that you want it, let it rest, and then right before your guests come over, turn on your CharBroiler, sear it off, get that nice crust on there, and then it's ready to go. You don't have to let it rest again. So I'm gonna throw mine on here, and this is just a tenderloin seasoned with a little salt, pepper, and Aleppo pepper. And I have my hotter zone in the front, so I'm just gonna throw that right on there. And you can see really quickly, I always like to show this, there are very little juices that come from this slow cooking in the convection steam oven. Very little juices that you're losing in your beef tenderloin. So I'm always impressed by that. So you're keeping all that nice, all those juices and the moisture and everything into your protein that you're cooking. So to that, I'm also going to take some scallions, and I'm just going to throw them on my cooler zone. And this again is going to go for my beef tenderloin that I'm making that I will show you. So I'm just going to get a little char on those, and then we'll talk about our burners while that is going. Move this around. So depending on the configuration that you get on your gas, is going to depend on kind of where the heat strength of your burners are. But the beauty of Wolf is, no worries. The beauty of Wolf is that Wolf makes a dual stack burner. What does that mean? Why is that so great? That means there are 2 gas lines running to every burner. So that allows you to have a very low flame and then switch over and have a very high flame. All the burners have high to low, and then you turn the knob around and you have that lower burner, the simmer feature. And the simmer feature is going to be on all of the cooktops. So that simmer feature allows you to hold something on your burner, whether you're holding to keep warm, like a pot of mashed potatoes, or if you're holding a sauce that you don't want to evaporate out anymore, or if you're melting sugar to make caramel. That's where that simmer feature is so great, because you do not run the risk, let me get out of the smoke here, you do not run the risk of scorching something. So Wolf has that on all of its burners. On the cooktops, depending on your configuration, your burners are going to be different sizes. So all of them are going to have that high-low, those dual stack burners, but they're also in the simmer feature, but they're also going to be, this is my really low burner at 9,200 BTU, and this is my hottest burner at 20,000 BTU. So these, during that ownership class that you come back to after you purchase, I'm going to teach you when to use this burner, when to use this burner, so on and so forth. So there is a reason to have these different strength burners too. All right, give these a little flip. Got a nice little char there. Let's check on our scallions, getting some char there too. Now you will, if you do choose a char broiler, you will want to have a very strong ventilation system. So that is important, and that's something you'll talk to your designer about, your builder about, and your appliance dealer, but you will want something pretty strong for this char broiler because of the smoke that it gives off. Okay. Do I have any questions so far about the griddle, the char broiler, any of the gas dual stack burners? Perfect. Okay. So we'll just see here. It's kind of hard sometimes with the light on. So I have my lowest burner on its high back there. My highest burner on high there, so you can see the difference. I'm not sure if you can see that. The difference in the flame size. We're doing some zooming. Got this really fancy camera. Does all these things, but a little sensitive. Okay, and then if I just turn that around, my other igniter kicks in, and then I have my simmer feature. Simmer to the point where I can hold my hand over that. That's how low it is, but still going to keep something nice and warm for you. And then again, my simmer feature on my bigger burner up here. Okay, so let me pull our beef off after we've got a nice little sear on that. We're going to let that rest for our dish later. Get a little more char on these, and then we'll get that turned off. As far as the char broiler cleaning goes, super easy. You just take a nice grill brush. I leave mine on just like you would with an outdoor grill. Leave it on, let all that burn off, that residual. Take your grill brush, scrub the grates, and then once it's nice and cool, you would actually lift this top grate off, and everything kind of turns into ash down below. It's only about that deep, and you go in there with a damp towel and wipe it all out. So super easy to take care of and care for. Okay, so we'll let those onions finish off, and we will jump over here to our wall oven and our convection steam oven. Okay, so convection steam oven, I'll go over that again briefly. I do a completely different demonstration on this because, again, it is capable of so much. But the convection steam oven, it's a 24-inch cavity oven. It is not just a steamer. And I get that question a lot. So it's a steamer? It is a steamer and it is a convection oven combined. So it is based on the idea of a combination or a combi oven in the commercial kitchen and also a deck oven in a commercial bakery. So when it comes to baking breads and desserts and that sort of thing in here, absolutely amazing. It pumps steam into the cavity to activate yeast in your breads, and then it comes back through with convection and browns it. So while we're over here talking about ovens, we should talk about convection. So a lot of people are very scared of convection. The definition of convection is the movement of air. Why do we want to cook almost everything on convection? Food naturally loses moisture when it is heated. There's no way around it. That's just how life is. So what we want to do is we want to be able to cook something quickly enough to retain that moisture in the food. So just like you would, all of the Wolf ovens are convection with the exception of the all gas range. So the convection in this, you can use this as a pure convection oven, so dry heat. But then you also have the ability to pump steam into the cavity. And what that's going to allow is this extra moisture being kept in the cavity to keep your food nice and moist. So you have the combination of those two. The moisture comes from a water reservoir, just runs off good old tap water. It's the minerals in the tap water that help activate that valve in the back of the unit to pump steam into the cavity. So water in the reservoir, you do not have to plumb these, which is another wonderful thing because you don't have to worry about that mineral buildup and everything in your lines. So it's just the water reservoir. You get a full about 90 minutes on pure steam. You get about 120 minutes on the other modes. You get pure steam mode in here. I actually used it to defrost earlier today, so very safe defrosting in the convection steam oven on steam versus a microwave. You have your pure convection feature, which is that dry heat. So that valve in the top of the cavity opens up to release any natural moisture that's coming off your food so that you have a pure dry heat oven in here. I actually air fry in here a lot because air frying is just convection at a really high heat or the movement of air at a really high heat. So I will air fry in here as well. You have the next mode, which is your convection and your steam. This is what I use to roast chickens on. Anything that has pork tenderloins I will do on convection steam as well because I'm getting moisture pumped in. So if I have a lean cut of something, I don't want it to dry out. So I use that convection steam, but I still want some browning on top too. That's where my convection comes in. So it uses the combination of those modes. It's very in-depth. It has a spa mode. It has a canning mode, so you can actually preserve and jar in here, sanitize your jars. You sanitize baby bottles, obviously all of your baked goods settings, but it also has our Wolf Gourmet settings. So a lot of our appliances you'll find have the Wolf Gourmet settings, and that's kind of like having a mini chef in your kitchen. So what that does is you tell it what you're making. So for example, I had the beef tenderloin. I go into my gourmet and select meat, and then my subcategory would be beef, but you can choose veal, you can choose pork, leg of lamb, so on and so forth. So I choose beef, then I go into another category where I choose the type of cut. So I have a beef tenderloin, and then it selects the modes for me. I just tell it how I want it cooked. So that's the gourmet modes in the convection steam oven. They're very in-depth. So that's what we go through in the class. So that's our convection steam oven. I did the beef tenderloin in there. Again, slow roast it and then just bring it out to sear it at the end, whether it's on a char broiler, sear it on the griddle, or sear it in a pan on the gas burner. Any questions about the convection steam oven? Okay. So we have two types of wall ovens. We have the Wolf M series wall oven and we have the Wolf E series wall oven. So before I go into the difference between the two, you'll see different handles and different knobs and screens on them. You can do a tubular handle. There's three types of the aesthetic, the look part of it. This is what we call the Pro. So it has the Wolf Pro handle matching a convection steam oven. You will all match up. So there's always three options that you'll match up aesthetically. So Pro handle, M series has the touch screen, the tubular handle, which you'll see on the E series, or there's a contemporary, which has no handle and it's just a push to open. So still the same oven, just a different look. And so you get to, choose what look you want in your project. So the M series wall oven, all the ovens are 30-inch ovens, so it's a standard size. With the M series, you have 2 full extension racks. These full extension racks glide all the way out but stay locked in. So it's really nice when you need to base something or check something, instead of having to take the entire dish out, it's just locked in there. So you get 2 full extension racks in the M series. In the Wolf ovens, we have not 2, like most ovens, heating elements. We actually have 4 heating elements. So there's one at the bottom, which is your bake element, the one at the top, which is your broil element, and then you have 2 heating elements around each fan in the back of the oven. Why is this so important and so wonderful when it comes to cooking? Is it makes you look like a really good cook, because it lets the air flow around things evenly. So you don't have to worry about rotating pans and moving them around. Let's say if you're baking multiple racks of cookies, you don't have to worry about that because of that even flow of air and the heat coming from being distributed from all the different areas. So let's go through the modes really quickly. So you have all of your basic modes on the M series, the same as that you'll have on the E series. So you have your roast, your boil, your bake. Then you have your convection roast, and again, very similar. You have all your extra convection modes on the E series. With the M series, you have the addition of those gourmet modes. So very similar to what we talked about in the convection steam oven. In the M series is the same thing. So you turn your dial over to gourmet and you just tell it what you're cooking. So let's say we're doing potatoes for an example. So I tell it, I choose vegetables, I choose potato, and then select if it's baked potato, sweet potato, or just roasted potatoes. I choose sweet potatoes. It tells me no preheat is required. Insert food right away, and on rack position number 3. So the only thing I need to do, it tells me the mode, it's going to bake it at 350. It asks me to set my probe at 205 degrees, and then I hit start. The only thing I need to do in these gourmet modes is tell it the time when it comes to the M series. All the ovens have a temperature probe, so that temperature probe will be your friend. If you come to ownership, I will pound that into you. Please use that temperature probe. So again, you can just set your temperature probe on the ovens, and then it alerts you when it's done. Then you don't even have to worry about setting a time. It's more about what's the internal temperature, and that's when it's done. So that's your gourmet modes on the M series. If I can back out of that. Your other options on the M series and the E series, you have a keep warm feature. So that allows you to drop that oven down really low to keep something warm. And we can go all the way down to 140. Yep, 140. And then you have the additional modes on both ovens. You have the self-clean mode, the proof mode. So if you're baking bread, cinnamon rolls, anything that has yeast in them, the yeast needs to activate or proof. So you would choose the proof mode there, drops it down to 85 degrees if you'd like. And then you have your dehydrate mode and your bake stone mode. So you have additional kits that you can buy for the ovens. One is the bake stone. It comes with the stone and then its own rack, so you don't have to worry about scratching your racks. So we have a bake stone there. It also comes with the pizza peel too, which is right here. So there's an additional kit that you can purchase for the ovens. And then in that bake stone mode, it uses a combination of its own percentages of the broil element and the bake element to get the perfect crust on whatever you're cooking, whether it's bread, flatbreads, pizza, cookies, whatever. So that is your bake stone mode. And then you also have a dehydrate mode as well. That drops it super low, allows you to prop the door open so that you can dehydrate something and let that moisture go out. There's a dehydrate kit you can purchase. It is a fine mesh rack that you can lay your items out on, whether it's tomatoes or herbs or fruit or jerky or whatever you're dehydrating. And then you can also, it also comes with a stopper to hold your door open as well. Any questions about the M series wall oven or the convection steam oven? Okay, so I just pulled out some. This is a ginger snap cookie mixed with some butter and a couple other things. That's going to be for our topping for our dessert. So that was slow and low in the M series oven. Okay, I'm going to pull these off. Okay, so we will jump over to, sorry, I walked away way too quickly there. Okay, we're going to jump over to the E series. Okay, yes. Okay, so we just talked about the M series wall oven. This is the E series wall oven. This look here is called our transitional or our tubular handle. But when it comes to the E series, you're going to get a touch panel on the E series, and it's all laser etched in. So you don't have to worry about anything rubbing off over time. So all of the laser etching is etched in, so you don't have to worry about that. So you have all of your modes, your bake, your roast, your broil, just like you do in your M series, your convection bake, convection roast, convection broil, and convection, as well as your bake stone, your dehydrate, your proof, and your self-clean. So we talked about all of those. And then in the E series, again, 30-inch cavity, and you get one full extension rack there. And then it also has the rails on the bottom, so that because with the two full extension racks over here and just one here, we have the rails on the bottom, so you can actually pull that rack out and set it.
Zoom.
And set it on the bottom of the oven. Okay. I think people are joining in and out there.
What? Watching.
You also have a lock feature on your E series as well. So a lot of people, it will lock when you do the self-clean, but if you're not self-cleaning and want to lock it for children, you know, that sort of thing, there is a lock feature on there too. When it comes to self-clean, we don't recommend doing it more than about 4 times a year. So when you self-clean, it gets up to about 900 degrees. You'll take everything out and everything that's not screwed in. So with any of the appliances, everything can come out if it's not screwed in. You should never have to take a screwdriver to the appliances. But everything will come out, your side rails will come out, you'll clean out what you can, and then you can run your self-clean. If I don't get to catch you before you get your appliances and start using them, please never ever put anything on the bottom of the oven. So never aluminum foil or anything like that. It will melt into the porcelain, so you do not want to do that. One of the newer appliances that Wolf just came out with is called the speed oven. So a lot of times we need that second oven, but we don't want to get rid of our microwave. We don't have a whole lot of space that we're working with. So Wolf came out with a speed oven. So it is a combination oven, convection oven, and microwave in one. So you have all of the features you would in all of the Wolf microwaves. You have your beverage to heat up water for tea or reheat coffee, reheat function, and then you have your popcorn function on here. But then in addition, your melt soften, your auto defrost, but then in addition, you have convection. So it works just like a convection oven in that fan moves around, moves the heat around to cook the food. So you would hit convection and then just put in your temperature of your oven that you would want. You have a broil feature, so there is a double quartz broiler in the top. What does double quartz broiler mean? It means that it is a longer lasting, very durable broiler that they put in these. And then you also have a micro bake and a micro roast. So what those do is it uses the combination of convection and microwaves to cook. So say I was roasting something, with a micro roast is actually going to roast quicker because you're using those microwaves. We all know that a microwave cooks really quickly, so it's using the combination of those. The only thing you need to remember when you are doing a combination cooking is that you're using the right kind of cookware. You're using an oven safe and microwave safe item, like a glass Pyrex or something like that would be perfectly fine. And you also have your gourmet features. So you'll have a little cheat sheet here of your gourmet numbers, and you just tell it what you're wanting to cook, and it will choose the mode for you. So that is the speed oven. It is the capacity of a drop-down door microwave. Looks just like a drop-down door microwave. So same internal capacity. So obviously smaller than a wall oven and a little smaller than a convection steam oven. That is the speed oven. Quality-wise, I should say this. It has a turntable in here too. Quality-wise, I get this question a lot. Could I cook a beef tenderloin in here? You could probably, yes. It is better suited for like a box of brownies that you want to bake, or a thinner cut of steak, or a thinner cut of fish, or something like that. If I have a more expensive, maybe thicker cut of something, I would save that for my ovens or my convection steam oven. But this is really great if you need that second oven option or a keep warm option and a microwave. You don't want to lose your microwave. It's a great option for that. Any questions? And again, what you do is you trim out. So if you have a smaller appliance going over a larger appliance and you want them stacked, we would trim it out, is what that's called, so that it matches, and obviously the handle matches as well. So just all depending, it's more about the appliance and how that suits your lifestyle and what you want from the appliance itself. Okay. We will move along to induction. No questions, right? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So induction. What do you like more, Brandie? Induction or gas? So I'll go ahead and ask the question, because that's the question I get in every one of these live demonstrations. I like them equally. So we are human. We're used to fire. We're used to gas and cooking on it for many, many, many years. And I do love gas. I'm used to it. That's what I love. What I love about the Wolf Induction is the control that I have on it. So, and it really comes down to aesthetics too. A lot of people like that more contemporary, cleaner look. It is also easier to clean too. So with the induction, you're gonna get all of those simmer features that you would on your gas ranges, range tops, and cooktops. So depending on your configuration, I don't see how close we can get into this, but you can see that there are circles here. Let's see if we can see that. Okay, so there are circles. I have a little bit of delay on my iPad, so in that circle. So how induction works is it's a magnetic connection to the pot in which you're cooking in. So what it does is heats up and moves those molecules, or I'm sorry, the magnetic connection moves those molecules, and when those molecules start moving so quickly, that's when the heat is produced. So this circle where my pot is means that that heat can go all the way out to that size. So I can put that size pot on there. But if I had a smaller pot sitting on there, I could still use that burner. It's only going to make that connection right underneath where that pot is. So with the induction, it's all touchpad over here. I turn my burner on, hit on, and I have some water in here just because I want to show you how quickly you can control this, how quickly you can boil something and then shut it down. So I have a little bit of water here, as you can see. I'm going to turn this all the way up to high. You can hear just a little bit. It's not loud, but you can hear those molecules start to move. And then I have a boost feature on this burner. So that means I can turn it all the way up to high and then go even higher. So I'm going to hit that boost feature there, and you'll be able to see the movement of the water here shortly. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute to bring something to boil. So that's why I like using induction. If I need to sear something off really quickly at a high temperature, you can use cast iron on induction. Pretty much any pan's going to work except for aluminum. So you want kind of that heavier bottom pan, and that's what's going to make that connection, that magnetic connection, and move those molecules around to create that heat. I do find that a lot of non-stick pans do not tend to work, but they do have some newer ones out on the market that do. A big fear is that people feel like they have to rush out and buy all new pots and pans, but you really don't. Just 4 or 5 really good pans is really all you need in your set. So you can see, I don't know how close can you see that? I can't tell from the thing. Anyway, starting to come to a boil. No, you're fine. Bring to a boil there, and then while that's going, I have a burner. The smaller burner here has a melt feature on it. So what I did is I took some brown sugar and a little bit of water and butter and just melted that down a couple of hours ago and just let it sit on that melt feature, and I don't have to worry about it scorching. I make caramel on this burner all the time because I can put my sugar in, walk away, and know that it's not going to burn or scorch. So I'm going to turn my water off, and just like that, we're down, and it's off. So really control and heat there. And I know the heat in that burner is done. It's off. There's no residual heat sitting underneath. There's only a little bit of heat where that pan is, but the burner's not going to continue to remain hot. So in this, I have some peaches that I got at the farmer's market today, and a little bit of brown sugar and water and butter. The water's evaporated out, and I've just been letting them soak in there for the dessert. So again, induction is great because you get that really low burner, you have simmer, and then you have that melt feature. I can let chocolate sit on there for hours at a time and not have to worry about that scorching. Same with sauces too. If I'm reducing a sauce and I see that it's getting too hot, I can bring it down really quickly and not have to worry about that residual heat sitting underneath it. So that's why I like induction. You have a timer over here and a lock feature as well, where you can lock the entire thing so you don't have extra, little hands touching it and turning it on and off. That's my cell phone ringing. Oh, okay, thank you. All right, I had ringing and somebody's ringing in my ear there. Okay, so with the induction cooktops, and depending on what size you get to, you can get larger, you can get smaller. Those are drop into the countertop, the induction. The same with cooktops. So the gas cooktops are just the gas burners and they drop into the counter. The range tops are the ones that look like that on top, but they come over the side and have that bull nose. So that's the difference between the cooktops, the inductions, and the range top looks. Now, a lot of times we go, okay, now we do have a bridge feature on here. So we can put a griddle pan on here, just like to mimic a griddle. You can put a cast iron griddle pan on these two burners, and there's a bridge feature, and it actually connects those two burners and makes them the same heat. So you can do pancakes and bacon and eggs on a Saturday morning if you wanted to, or burgers and sliders. But you can also add modules, and you can add modules whether you have the gas or the induction. But the modules are these pieces that are extra additions. So this one is called our teppanyaki. So this you cook directly on the stainless, and there's a nice well around the edge to catch any sauces that you may have. And then with the teppanyaki, you have two temperature zones. So you have a temperature zone here, and you have a temperature zone here. You control those separately, or if you wanted them the same temperature, you just hit your bridge feature that's on the teppanyaki panel. So if you wanted to do slider buns at a lower temperature and sliders at a higher temperature, you can certainly do that and control that separately. Or I like to do, for demonstrations, I like to do scallops on here. And so I'll put scallops on the entire thing, just bridge that temperature zone. Another module option, if you're really missing your gas, you want induction, but you say, hey, every once in a while I want a gas burner. This is called our multifunction cooker module. This is our highest BTU. Now this thing is hot. It is 22,000 BTU. It's great for wok cooking, but we also make a double burner gas module as well. So you would have two gas burners, and those are great to have as well. So there's a fryer, there's a steamer, so lots of modules that you can add on if you wanted to. Do I have any questions about induction or modules? Okay. All right, so you're probably, let's go ahead and plate up some food just so you see what I'm working with here, and then we'll talk about SubZero. So SubZero Wolf is still a family-owned company out of Madison, Wisconsin, and I've been up to the factory. It's quite amazing, and it's the way that they test everything, strenuous testing. Every appliance goes through it before they go out the door. It's very impressive. They're guaranteed 20 plus years, and also with the appliances. If you do have your appliances, your SubZero Wolf Cove installed by a certified installer, you get an extra year warranty as well. So that's always a nice feature. So SubZero Wolf started, SubZero actually started by a gentleman named Westy Balky, and he had moved his family across country, and his son was diabetic, and he was having a hard time finding storage for his insulin because back then nothing was going to be cold enough. So in his garage, how most great companies start, right? In his garage, he built a refrigerator that would go below 0 degrees, hence the name SubZero. So SubZero is the preservation specialist, and I'm going to talk about that when I get over here to our refrigerators. And then Wolf is the cooking specialist. And then Cove is the dishwasher that we came out with last year. And last year? Yeah. Oh, wow. No, seen that way. And it is the new dishwasher that came out. And I've actually had this dishwasher running the entire time I've been talking. And you probably, I would imagine, couldn't hear it because I couldn't hear it. But they are super quiet dishwashers. And we love them around here. We use them quite a bit. So I have the beef tenderloins been nice and rested. And we are going to serve this with, and I just want you to see the inside of this real quick. So we got a medium rare there. You can see that. Yeah. Okay. And then I have a little bit of those charred scallions on the side. So this is a nice summer dish, super easy. And you can serve it chilled too, chilled or room temperature. It does not need to be piping hot. It is too hot outside for that. So this is a nice, easy dish. You have a little beef tenderloin you get from the store. You can slow cook it, char it up, and then fan it out. And we are going to put it with some farmer's market local tomatoes that I got today. Put it on my board here. So I got a couple tomatoes we're going to eat with that I've seasoned. So make sure you season everything. Salt, pepper, olive oil. Do not forget your seasoning. And then I have some cucumbers. I did the same thing, a little seasoning. I'll chop those up. So nice and cool elements to this. And then I made, chimichurri. Love chimichurri. Nothing against chimichurri. But it tends to go a lot with steak. So I did something a little different. I had a ton of basil from my garden. So I did some basil, cilantro, and parsley, and then on the Char broiler I actually grilled some serrano peppers, and I processed all that in a food processor with a little bit of olive oil and sherry vinegar, and brought in that Aleppo pepper that I put on here, which is actually a Turkish spice, but I like it. It has some really nice citrus elements. So I put that in on the steak, on the beef, but also in my salsa verde as well. And I'm just going to actually just put that right there so people can help themselves. It does have a little heat. So that is my steak. And then as my side, I'm doing a toasted corn is great right now. And you saw me cook the bacon on the griddle. So corn on the griddle as well. So I just get a little char on that. I'm going to squeeze a little bit of lime juice in here, bringing through those summer flavors. Give that a little toss. And then I'm just going to come in here with a little bit of feta. And this is feta I broke up myself. I like French feta. It's less salty. It's a little milder than Greek feta, but you can do whatever cheese you want. And then I'm just going to pull down some herbs. We're going to do a little basil and a little mint to go in that. You can add some crushed nuts if you wanted. It's a really simple, easy salad with bacon, of course. All right. So that is our dish for that. And we are going to, while you sit there and stare at that, unfortunately can't serve anybody. Then we're going to hop over to SubZero Wolf and talk, SubZero and talk about the refrigeration. Okay, so SubZero. Why is SubZero refrigeration so wonderful? SubZero is the only refrigerator maker on the market that has dual refrigeration, meaning that it does not share air. So this is the freezer, this is the refrigerator, they are their own units, okay? So most refrigerators, freezer systems share air in that the same air is cooled down to go into the freezer, warmed up to come back into the refrigerator. That's where you're going to get that freezer burn and those little spots. In SubZero, you do not have to worry about that because we don't share air. So each has its own system. We also have air purification systems in there as well. So that is probably my favorite feature of SubZero. It scrubs the air every 20 minutes of ethylene gases, mold spores, the things that make your fruits and vegetables and everything go bad. So your produce obviously is going to last so much longer. I keep romaine in here for 2 or 3 months at a time. It loses very, very little density. And also the beauty of that air purification is that when I cook proteins, I like to take them and put them on a rack over a sheet pan uncovered so that air can flow around and the skin becomes a little tacky or the surface becomes a little tacky so that whatever I'm seasoning it with really adheres. So I like to do that, but I don't have to worry when I do that in SubZero because I can put a rack of fish, I can put an uncovered cheesecake, I can put a pan of asparagus, whatever the case may be, and not have to worry about those smells transferring into one another and then therefore making it taste like the other thing. So I love that about SubZero. Obviously that my produce and everything I get from the organic and from the farmer's market is going to last so much longer, but also that transfer of non-transfer of smell is key. The other feature I like about the SubZero is that you don't have to go scrolling or go diving into your drawers in the kitchen looking for your owner manuals. They're right here. They're made of plastic that slide right in the side of the door of the refrigerator. And they tell you what all of your little emblems across your panel mean, when to change the air filter, when to change the water filter, if you have water and ice in your refrigerator and freezer. But it also has a nice little cheat sheet on where to store things and what's ethylene loving and what's ethylene hating and kind of not to store those next to one another. So that's a nice little feature. There are 2 types of refrigerators. You'll find the built-in or the classic has the grill across the top. And then on the other side over there, we have the integrated or the designer, meaning that runs all the way up to the top. That vent is at the bottom. So those are the 2 types of refrigerators, but lots of sizes and lots of configurations there too, depending on what you're looking for. So we have a third one, is our Pro Series. I don't know if we're going to scroll over there or not. Is our Pro Series refrigerator as well, and that is all stainless on the inside. So freezers on the bottom, freezer drawers, everything is stainless on the inside. Also now has that air purification system in it as well. While I'm over here, we should talk about one of my other favorite features is the wine storage. So the SubZero wine storage protects against the 4 culprits of wine going bad. And that is temperature. Obviously, you get 2 temperature zones in the SubZero wine storage. Lots of configurations and sizes here. You can do as little as or small as a under counter wine storage, and you can do as large as we have one that has wine on top and then refrigerator or freezer drawers on the bottom as well. So dual zones, you can set them to wherever you want. It also protects against UV light. The glass is protecting that. And then you also have humidity control and vibration control as well. So the racks in the wine storage protect against the vibration when the rollers prevent the vibration of the wine bottles there. You can always buy accessories. You can buy a humidor to go in for your cigars. You can buy a champagne bottle accessory to hold your champagne bottles as well. Okay. All right. And then we also have the warming drawers, the Wolf warming drawers, which I use pretty much every time I do a demo for keeping plates warm, keeping serving dishes warm. The warming drawers are great for that. Proofing bread, I do a lot of bread that I proof in the warming drawers too. And we also have the under counter refrigeration, so the SubZero refrigerator drawers and freezer drawers as well. All right, so I'm going to do a little dessert plating with our peaches, and then let anyone think of any questions they may have. And again, what we are here for is for you to come in. You can come in, walk in, you can make an appointment. We are here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and on Saturdays, 10 to 3. You're welcome to come in yourself. You can always bring your designer in or your builder and sit down in one of our vignettes that we have here in the showroom and talk about your project. And one may or may not work for you. Let me grab, made whipped cream and left it in the, and I just have like a buttermilk, this is a buttermilk whipped cream actually, versus a heavy whipping cream. It's a little more powerful with my new cartridges here. So this is just a buttermilk cream. And then I have that ginger snap granola, or crumble rather, to go on top. And that's our little dessert with a little mint. Okay. Yeah.
How long is the self-clean cycle for the oven, and does the steam oven have?
Okay, great question. So steam, the self-clean for the ovens run about 4 hours. So you will want to plan accordingly, not on Thanksgiving morning. So that's about 4 hours that you'll be locked out of that. Convection steam oven does not have a self-clean because it is a stainless steel interior. So the beauty of the convection steam oven is that if you have some stuck on grease, you can just turn the steam feature on for about 10 or 15 minutes, let it get nice and moist in there, and then come through with your cleaner, barkeeper's friend, whatever you're using, and wipe it out. Okay. Now everybody has to come eat food. Any other questions? Okay. Well, feel free to reach out to us anytime should you have more questions that you want to make an appointment and come by the showroom. And we're always happy to help. Thanks for joining today.